Is your number one seed. He's been impressive all weekend long. Not to take anything away from Milton, but the first seed gets the option, so the black deck will be on the play. A little handshake, and let's get our Sunday underway. What do you say?
I'm ready to go.
Alrighty. It's going to be a Temple of Silence to begin today's play. You see a Desecration Demon over there in Decandio's hand. He's going to put the top card on the bottom, Figueroa. He's going to take a draw. We'll see if he's got a one-drop to start. He does, and it will be the best one-drop in Cloudfin Raptor to get the ball rolling.
And again, for those of you who are just starting to tune in this weekend, or right now rather, to this weekend's tournament, Milton has removed Frostburn Word from his deck for Omen Speaker, which is a very, very uncommon deck selection choice in Mono Blue Devotion. So
You could almost say a controversial decision.
yes, there has been some controversy, certainly.
However, it has, obviously it's a conscious decision as well, knowing that, yes, I could play Frostmourne like everybody else is, but I prefer Omen Speaker, and maybe it's just better than Mono Blue Devotion Mirror, because when we watched him play the Mono Blue Devotion Mirror against Dusted and Biggers, it looked impressive then. Here's your Tidebinder Mage, going to evolve the Raptor. Raptor's going to come across for 1, and Decandio's going to go down to 19. He'll take an untap, he'll take a draw, and predictably the Pack Rat's going to live through the turn, as Orzhov Guildgate is added to the hand, and we'll see if he's just going to go ratting, or if he wants to play that Nightveil Spectre.
And Pack Rat on the draw is one of the harder things for Mono Blue to beat.
Yes.
It does not appear that Milton has Cyclonic Rift or Rapid Hybridization, so he's basically priced into just trying to race, which is not an easy thing to do.
Decandio's just going to play his third land and pass the turn back, so Tidebinder Mage can get in if it would like to, but Figueroa looks like he's going to start off with a one-drop here. There's a Judge's Familiar. It will not evolve the Raptor. The follow-up play of Omen Speaker, however, will. So, Omen Speaker is going to get a little scry action going, and you can see exactly what Figueroa is doing, which is gumming up the board right now.
Yeah, he's trying to get pressure in the air, which is good against Pack Rat, and develop his board. So it's going to be an uphill battle, but he's got a little bit of game here.
Across for 4 comes Figueroa. Discard Orzhov Guildgate. That's a good place for that card. Just put it in the old
Straight in the
graveyard.
graveyard.
Yeah. That card stinks. He's just going to take the damage. Going to go down to 15, but he wants to just assemble that Pack Rat army. A little bit bigger, a little bit stronger. If he ever does find a Mutavault, things obviously spiral out of control as they'll be too big to handle for the mono blue deck. But it's kind of just a racing game at this point.
Yeah, and I was about to say the exact same thing. It's unlikely that Brennan's going to be able to completely contain what's happening in the air, so pretty soon he's going to be forced to just try to damage race, which is not the worst spot for Milton to be in. Of course, he's still behind the gun because of this Pack Rat, but as long as he can develop his board with flyers, he's got a reasonable shot.
Alright, so you see Decandio is, there's some decisions to be made. He's got a Desecration Demon, he's got a Nightveil Spectre, he's got a Temple of Silence. Does he want to scry? Does he want to attack first? He's just going to attack first before making any decisions. We'll see if Figueroa has a block, as Decandio is going to just make a rat, discarding Goblet Shrine, so it'll be an attack here for 6. And there's a Temple of Silence. It's not played his land yet, so we're going to do a little scry here. Figueroa very anxious to take his turn, and now he does get the opportunity to untap as Decandio puts the top card to the bottom. And now Figueroa with 4 mana. Is it a Master? Is it a Jace? It is a Bident. And that is one of the better cards to find here.
Yeah, he might not have time, unfortunately, to deploy all the cards that he's drawing, but this does help him find his significant cards, most notably here, Master of Waves and Cyclonic Rift. These are the 2 cards he's really looking for.
And he did find a Master of Waves off those double dodge steps. Now, however, Decandio, he put his top card to the bottom, but the card he drew this turn was a gooder. It is a copy of Mutavault. And the damage is going to really start adding up now.
Yep, he has enough mana this turn, of course, to both activate his Mutavault and make a rat, so
Presenting a lethal attack. So there will have to be some amount of chump blocking to be done here. Now again, Decandio does have a Desecration Demon and Nightveil Spectre in his hand, but there's really no need to cast either one of those right now. It's all in on the rats, and they're coming into the red zone.
But if you look at Decandio's hand, you see that he has no removal spell right now. He has a land, a Desecration Demon, and a Nightveil Spectre, so it is possible that this Master of Waves could steal this game.
Omen Speaker's on blocking duty. Obviously, you see Figueroa wants to leave Tidebinder Mage in play. Higher Devotion for the Master of Waves does show up to the party. So Decandio is deciding, alright, do I want to make a rat? Do I want to force some more damage through? Do I maybe want to cast a Nightveil Spectre and slow down these beats in the air? Desecration Demon is probably the worst of the options given this turn, just because Figueroa can control it. And if you're Decandio, you have to assume that, he might have a Master of Waves hanging out in the hand, and he can really control it then.
Yeah, additionally, with the land in his hand, he could possibly make a rat and cast Night Veil Spectre if he needs a chump blocker in the air the following turn.
Yeah. And now Desecration Demon is actually the card that's going to come down as opposed to the Night Veil Spectre. So we'll see if this comes back to hurt Decandio, as Figueroa is going to draw a card. Again, he has the Master of Waves. He's going to take the island right off the top of his deck. He's going to play the Master of Waves. You do the devotion count here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 elemental tokens are coming into play.
Yeah, this is definitely terror or bust next turn for Brennan.
Yeah, it's going to take a removal spell. And now, all of a sudden, Pack Rat has kind of gone obsolete, and Elemental is going to get sacrificed to the Desecration Demon to allow the Flyers to push through. Tidebinder Mage could even feel a little frisky here. I don't think it's too great on defense at this point.
Not really sure what exactly Milton is looking to draw at this point, as he still has a mana out for Rapid Hybridization, which is basically his best reactive trick, but he still wants to set up lethal next turn.
Yeah. He does not want this game to go much further. And for Decandio, you're looking for a removal sword now. Now, he's got some in his deck. He does have 2 Last Breath, 2 copies of Ultimate Price that can get him out of this situation. Ratchet Bomb's not so bad, one of those in the main deck. And, of course, 4 copies of Hero's Downfall. What won't save him will be those copies of Devour Flesh, as you see creatures getting into the red zone here. 3 cards coming for the Mono Blue Devotion player. Again, the games that the Devotion decks do win, they sure do look impressive.
Absolutely, yeah. And now it's all on this draw step.
Let's see what we find. It's a Hero's Downfall. So we still get to play some Magic here. And now what you're going to want to do, I think, if you're Decandio, you main phase of Hero's Downfall, take care of the Master of Waves. Then you go to your attack steps, your Desecration Demon can do it, and that's going to do it. So yeah, it took 1. All it did was take 1.
Yep.
And he found it, did Decandio. A nice timely top deck of Hero's Downfall, and now your number 1 seed is up a game with black-white mid-range over mono blue.
Been on a bit of a heater so far in these elimination rounds with his back against the wall. His critical Elspeth in Game 3 of the quarterfinals, and now this Hero's Downfall. Of course, he has several other draws in his deck that could have gotten him out of that spot. But
A lesson I've learned early in Magic, you draw a card every turn.
yeah, and they're not in your deck to not draw.
That's true.
Copyright Dan Deardor.
We're going to bring it back to the booth here, guys, because it is trivia time. We got to give away our 6 months, and then we'll continue that match between Decandio and, of course, Figueroa. However, we got to give away 6 months, so get your Twitters ready with the hashtag SCG Premium. I've got the question.
Awesome.
All right, so I'll let you do the rules, because we got to refresh people here.
Right.
It's early morning.
Cedric's going to ask a question about something pertaining to the semifinals. You are going to tweet that answer at SCG Live. You will hashtag SCG Premium.
Or else.
Among the correct answers, one will be selected, and that person will receive a half year of free Star City Games premium content.
Nice job. You did good at that. I'm proud of you.
Thanks.
Yeah, you did good. All right, within Brandon Decandio's deck, he's got a little innovative take on the black-white mid-range style. And within this deck, he's got some Planeswalkers, 2 to be exact. And if you can name the Planeswalker that he has 2 copies of, you win the prize. So name the Planeswalker that he has 2 copies of in his deck, integral to him winning his quarterfinals match yesterday against Mike Smith. Hashtag SCG Premium for your answer. Make sure you're following SCG Live on the old Twitter sphere. And again, we'll draw the winner at the conclusion of this match because it's the only one going in our semifinals. Tyler Wilkinson is eagerly awaiting to see which one of these 2 players he's going to face. And right now, it looks like he's on his way for a Pack Rat match.
Yes.
So
Lucky him.
yeah, lucky him indeed. We're going to bring it back to the match. We'll take a look at the sideboards here. I'll let you do Milton's. You seem like a mono blue devotion kind of guy.
Kinda.
Yeah.
He has a Rapid Hybridization, 4 Domestications, a Jace Memory Adept, 2 copies of Jace Architect of Thought, 3 copies of Gainsay, 2 Cyclonic Rift, 1 Dispel, and I'm not sure if you can make this. Oh, a Bident. Sorry.
Bident.
It looks like
Bident.
looks like Mident on his registration sheet, so some confusion. I think in this matchup he's going to want to become, he needs to fight 2 fights. One is just the removal attrition fight, so he wants his cards like Jace and Bidens to slog through that. He also specifically needs to be concerned about Pack Rat, as we saw in that first game. Pack Rat is really hard for Mono Blue Devotion to beat, and so he's going to want possibly his extra copy of Rapid Hybridization. I don't know if he's want to go so far as to play Cyclonic Rifts. Maybe he wants those on the draw, but he needs a mixture of things to win the attrition / control battle, and also to fight Pack Rat.
On Spider-Man's side, because that is Andrew Garfield, Ratchet Bomb, 2 Lifebane Zombies, 1 Sin Collector, 2 Dark Betrayal, 2 Doomblade, 1 Last Breath, 3 Obsidian Ghost Council, 2 Duress, and a Glare of Heresy. So cards to bring in this matchup, and there's some ones that you can cross off right away. Lifebane Zombie, I don't think it's going to come in because I think this is different than what Turtenwald's trying to accomplish. We see Turtenwald bring that card in this matchup sometimes, but I think these are different decks. He doesn't need to do that. Dark Betrayal can certainly leave on the board. Doomblade, come on in. Take care of Master of Waves. Last Breath, I think you can say the same. Also going to catch Nightvale Zombie, or Nightvale Spectre, excuse me, with that card. Oh, so that's probably too expensive. Duress is okay, because actually, some of Figueroa's cards that actually matter in this matchup are spells. You've got Biden, you've got Jace, the card advantage engine, so maybe you do want more discard. I think Sin Collector's going to stay on the bench. I think there's a possibility to bring in that second Ratchet Bomb because of Master Waves tokens, and the aggro draw, probably starts with just 1 mana flyers like Cloudfin Raptor. And then last, Glare of Heresy. We're not playing against a white deck, so leave that on the bench.
Yeah, we have not seen Obsidian come in yet in the games that we've watched Brennan play. I suspect it is for decks that have Mizium Mortars to swap out Blood Baron.
Sure.
As Obsidian's naturally good against red-green style decks and also can't be killed. But I wouldn't necessarily be surprised to see him bring in here as well to again swap out for Blood Baron.
So those are the options available, and both players have access to each other's deck lists, so they can take a look. They know exactly what's coming for them, or at least they can try to assume. And Figueroa is going to be on the play here. He got off to a nice start. Actually, both players did.
Yeah.
In that game.
No, and the Mono Blue Devotion deck, turn 2 Pack Rat, especially on the draw, is one of those nightmare scenarios, but Milton had a good mixture of gumming up the works and having some flyers to fly over a Pack Rat, and nearly pulled that one out, if not for a timely Hero's Downfall from Brennan.
Yeah, at the end of the day, Decandio had 1 turn left to get there, which he did. That's all she wrote. So we'll begin game number 2 here between these two fantastic players. Figueroa will be on the play with Mono Blue. He looks like he's happy. Decandio, on the other hand, not so sure.
It's possible. It looks like a bunch of swamps as mana. No, he has a Godless Shrine as well. 2 swamps.
Looks like he's staring at the Thoughtseize and some other things. I mean, obviously some real options here.
Lands and spells, how can you mulligan?
Yeah, I've never done that back in my life.
Yeah.
I just don't like shuffling.
That is true.
Yeah. If it was Magic Online, I would just click yes.
Right, exactly. Makes it easy.
Alright, he's going to keep it. Going to risk it to get the biscuit. We're underway. A Judge's Familiar. Not the premier one drop in the deck, but could be good enough.
And Judge's Familiar is actually pretty good against mono black and similar decks, as they have 3 mana removal spells that they're trying to cast. So
the Judge is going to come across for 1. Decandio is going to go to 19. Figueroa with no 2-drop. Going to pass the turn back to rest of the draw step here for Decandio. He's got access to both colors of mana. We'll see if he wants to lead off with Thoughtseize. The answer is yes. You see the hand of Thassa, Master of Waves, Jace, double island. Thassa is certainly appealing in this situation.
yeah, Thassa is really good against black and, again, similar decks, as it is both a very powerful threat and the games will often go long, so controlling your draw step over time is also quite valuable.
And that's what's going to bite the dust. Decandio is going to pass the turn back. Doesn't want to cast Duress into that Judge's Familiar. Attack for 1. Will Figueroa. You see the Jace at the forefront of his hand. Decandio picks up a Pack Rat.
And that is quite good in concert with the Duress he's planning on playing.
So, you see a hand there of double Jace, the Master. So, the Jace was a redundant draw, but a good one there for Figueroa. Certainly important.
Basically invalidating that Duress.
And now, Rat's off to you, says Decandio. Pass the turn. Figueroa take a draw. Look to be an Omen Speaker, I believe, but Judge's Familiar is where we're going to begin. The follow-up play will likely be a Jace, so he can work towards Devotion.
This seems like a good spot for Jace.
The question is, what do you do with Jace in this situation? Because it's very easy to say, okay, I'll just minus it and get my cards, but then Pack Rat can finish it. If you plus it, it can just get Hero's Downfall, then you didn't get any gain out of it.
Well, I think he's happy to trade a Hero's Downfall and Brennan's turn here, as it frees up the Master of Waves. I would imagine we're plussing it because we can simply minus it the following turn if we're feeling so inclined, and Okay, we're gonna. Looks like Milton is taking a different path here.
Yeah, I think it's a real risk. You see, he's going to -3 or -2 this turnover of Biden, a Clown for Raptor, and Island. I think it's a real risk if you just up and in does get Hero's Downfall. Yes, it's Decandio's turn. However, you didn't really accomplish anything. You tap 4 mana and basically discard a card almost to a certain extent. And with the cards in his hand of Master Waves and Omen Speaker, you have to believe that the mono black deck has a removal spell, or the black white deck, what have you. It has to believe that it has a removal spell for the Master. Especially after sideboard, where he has access to additional Doomblades and Lost Breaths.
My concern is that, given how it's already pretty positive for Brennan to be making a rat because of how it helps his long-term development, making a play that allows him to just curve out efficiently this turn by making a rat and killing Jace is, I would try to find a different line, but at this point I defer to Milton's judgment, as he's been very good on camera so far this weekend.
See Hallowed Fountain picked up there in Decandio's hand. That is no accident. Allows him to work his white splash along being able to cast Night Veil Spectre all with 1 land.
You
a
don't
card
see
that actually kind of helped him win a match.
Yeah, you don't see these dual lands bridging hybrid mana spells very much anymore. That was, and certainly not in control decks. So Brennan's definitely done a lot of work building this mana base.
And you see the hand right now. There's multiple Desecration Demons. There's an Underworld Connections that he picked up this turn. The Hallowed Fountain that we just mentioned. And a Last Breath hanging out. So he's trying to figure out how he wants to navigate this game. Is it worth it for me to just kill that Jace? Play the Hallowed Fountain, maybe discard something. How good is Desecration Demon in this spot? A lot of questions to be answered here.
Yeah, whether or not he wants to mess around with something like Underworld Connections is a big question.
So what he's going to do is he's just going to knock it down to 1. That means that Jace is priced into going up. Desecration Demon is going to show up to the party. And now Figueroa is going to untap. He's going to draw. So he can only do one thing with that Jace. No more cards coming off of it. And the fact that it slows down pack rat a little bit doesn't matter very much. Certainly doesn't matter very much for the Demon. You see Figueroa is going to draw his card. We see the Master of Waves. It looks like that's at the ready. Jace is going to start by ticking up, of course.
And I think Brennan made that play in part because he knows that there's a Biden in Milton's hand, so he wanted to get a flying blocker to prevent Milton from playing Biden and hitting this turn.
This is a Master of Waves. Devotion check will be 4, so 4 Elemental Horsies are going to come into play. And Decandio is going to untap very quickly. He'll take a draw. That's a Swamp. Actually a pretty important draw for him because he can play a Swamp, he can cast Last Breath and make a Pack Rat all in the same turn, or he can cast a Last Breath, take care of the Master of Waves, and cast the Underworld Connections as well. Either way, this is a good place to start.
Yeah. I think at this point he's just going to be in making rats mode.
We'll take a commercial to get everything set up for the finals, I assume. Like once we get there.
So Brennan trying to enter his attack here. Milton said that's fine.
You think Desecration Demon maybe chases down the Jace, or do we even care about it at this point?
I still think that Brennan's concerned clearly with the Biden.
Okay.
So he may want to be holding back on defense, but he's in a spot where it's pretty attractive for him to be damage racing as well. As next turn, if Milton plays Biden, then he draws 1 card, but we're looking at 2 Pack Rat tokens in play in this world, up to a 3rd Pack Rat. So
You see Red Zone is where we're going to head.
it's not ideal here for Brennan to allow Milton the spot to land Biden, but with the amount of pressure that Brennan's adding to the table this turn and the following turn, he's willing to start racing.
The decision is Figueroa's at this point. See what he wants to do. He's certainly in between a rock and a hard place right now.
Although Brennan also has to, this game's going to go on for a couple more turns. Long term, he also has to be concerned about Milton potentially setting up an overloaded Cyclonic Rift if he goes too far with Pack Rat.
Sure.
So, a lot of variables going on, certainly.
See if it's time to deploy the connections, and the answer is yes. So Daniel's going to use all of his mana, pass the turn back, and now, as you mentioned, a Biden can get online.
I think part of the reason that Brennan wanted to play Underworld Connections that turn instead of making a rat is he's sort of forced to find more removal because he knows that Milton's going to be finding more cards over the long term. And so he, especially Master of Waves, he's quite exposed to right now. So he needs to find additional copies of Last Breath or Hero's Downfall.
Figueroa does attack, draws some land off of the Biden trigger so that you can play Omen Speaker. That comes into play. Scries 2 cards to the bottom. You see Decandio is going to draw a card to begin things. Devour Flesh was the card he drew for the turn. Thought seizes the card he draws off the Underworld connections. You add that to a Desecration Demon. Those are the cards that we're looking at. Demon Triggers goes on the stack. Looks like it's time for a red zone attack. But you see Figueroa's at 24, so we got some work. We got some work to do. That's for sure.
Gained 4 off an earlier last breath, and this is Brennan's first time connecting.
This is going to be another 6/6 flyer, and confidently passing the turn back will the black-white mid-range player. Figueroa going to take a draw step. As you said, right now, Decandio is exposed pretty heavily to Master of Waves, but that's not in the hand yet.
Playing Demon that turn instead of making a rat, of course, to have a flyer to check Judge's Familiar. So.
And is Figueroa priced into maybe sacrificing the Omen Speaker to Desecration Demon, getting with the Judge's Familiar, and hopefully hitting something of relevance with the Bident?
Well, he's running out of time here. He may have to find something. His hand is so bad.
Yeah, he's moving in. Sacrifice Omen Speaker, get in for 1. I need a new card really bad, he says. Let's see what he finds. Alright, another copy of Omen Speaker. That'll help. So 1 and 2. And those both immediately go to the bottom. Figueroa's hand right now is an additional copy of Bident and an island. He's going to play that island, just pass the turn back. So Decandio is going to untap. He'll take a draw. Let's see what he adds to his hand. A copy of Hero's Downfall. That is a gooder.
That just about locks it up here, as he now has an answer to Master of Waves.
Triggers for the Demon. Will Figueroa try to sacrifice something? Will he make it so that Pack Rat and everybody else has to attack? The answer is yes. Biden will be activated. So everyone must get into the red zone. Even you, Pack Rat.
I don't think you're going to find much objection from Brennan here for everyone having to get in the red zone.
Looks like we're going to see a Hero's Downfall cast here. Going to take care of the Judge's Familiar. Now, Devour Flesh going to clear away the Omen Speaker. Makes it so that he can attack with everybody safely. Not going to lose his Pack Rat. Going to come across for 7. 6 is 13. Plus 1 from the Pack Rat is 14. Figueroa is going to move down to 4. I'm not quite sure there's a draw step to get him out of this. Okay, Master of Waves. We got 3 creatures that are going to come into play. And he can sacrifice 2 to the triggers. Alright.
It's a little bit of time. There's Doomblade, though.
Oh, well, that'll clear that up, and that's going to clear this matchup. Brennan Decandio is moving on to the finals. Your number 1 seed is unscathed this tournament. Defeating Milton Figueroa, black-white mid-range versus Mono Blue Devotion. One more time, Sweetness.
No stumbles with the mana, and that point he's playing essentially a Mono Black deck, with Last Breath replacing some other removal spell, and he had early Pack Rats and good backup and navigated those games really smoothly and efficiently, and moving on to the finals to take on another Mono Blue player.
Pack Rat always defeats Island. Always.
Yes.
Every time that a Pack Rat deck plays against Mono Blue Devotion, it always seems like the Pack Rat deck wins. Maybe I'm wrong, but it just seems like that's what always sticks out in my head, and we see it happen here yet again. But one more chance for Mono Blue Devotion to redeem itself, because Tyler Wilkinson is waiting in the wings to play against Brennan Decandio, who is on the way to the finals. As we do have our winner here, we'll bring it back to the booth.